the way I see it is confidence is a muscle. You develop it every time you go in the arena per se, and you test it out. Like you have to keep challenging yourself, and you will become more confident.
Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode of Pepper Spotlight. Every Wednesday 3 p.m. we appear in your Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast feed or even on YouTube. And it has been more than 29 weeks now that we have been appearing in your Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube and other podcast apps that you might be using out there. If you have been a frequent listener of our show, please just subscribe to it or follow it or subscribe to us on YouTube. It just helps us understand better if you guys are liking what conversations we are doing. And in this episode of Pepper Spotlight, we are going to talk to Vanchika from Cool Kanya and understand how important content as a property is for a subscription based business model. And it's really interesting to understand the whole journey of Cool Kanya and how they started and how they have evolved into something that they are today. So this is going to be a very interesting conversation for everyone to watch or listen. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur or somebody who wants to understand the content ecosystem, this is like a must listen episode. For any further questions, if you have, just feel free to DM us directly on Instagram or put it in the YouTube comments, and we'll be happy to address all the questions that you have. And if you have any suggestions or recommendations for us, please feel free to just drop us a DM on Instagram at @pepper_content. Here is my conversation with Vanchika that you all are going to listen from here onwards. This is pre-recorded, so please, all our conversations are pre-recorded. These are not live conversations that we are doing, so just understand when you hear a different audio quality from here on. Thank you so much, Vanchika, for being on Pepper Spotlight. We are very excited to have you because we have been seeing some great work that Cool Kanya is doing, and we are like one of those admirers of your content on Instagram. So very excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you. Super excited to be here, Pavan, and to talk to you about all things content and about Cool Kanya.
Super. I have been following your journey since quite some time, but for everyone who's going to watch this and listen to this, why don't we start this conversation from the inception of the idea of Cool Kanya? How did that happen, and how the journey has been from 2019 till 2021 now, and especially, running an organization during the pandemic brings in a lot of changes as well. So why don't we start with the inception of this idea and how it's
I
going on?
Whenever the question is asked to me, right, the inception, I'm like, where do I begin? It's, I think, really helping women has always been a part of, if I can say, my growing up years as well, right? Right from when I was 5 or 6, being a part of a Marwari family, growing up there, sort of, hearing conversations where, my father was often asked, that, you only have 2 daughters, aage jaake kaam kaun karega, questions like that, to even then being a part of a workspace working on a sanitary product where there were only men in the room, right? And asking myself during those times, during, like, when we were in the product development meetings, in and out, asking myself that how is a man ever going to develop a sanitary pad, right? Why are there only men in the room? Where are the women? Right.
Yeah.
And that was a question that actually led me to research why women drop out of the workplace, right? What is the cause of it? And that's really, I feel like, the beginning of Cool Kanya. That's really where Cool Kanya started forming. And it came into being in 2019. And since then, there have been so many iterations. It's been a roller coaster. I feel like one word that describes my journey so far is pivot. And we started off just as blogs and just as content, and even then it was very general career, right? And then I realized that, okay, to grow I need to focus on a niche, and then COVID happened, and during that year we were planning to do this big event, and we were just like, we want to do a big event in 2020 and have people come in. And everything went away when, in March, I think COVID, the first wave hit us, and we were just like, oh God, we can't have people in the same space anymore. So that was when, that was the same year we launched our online community, grew that, still working on growing that. We started dabbling into freelancing as a marketplace, as an option, and realized, because a lot of women at that point were freelancing as people losing jobs, right? But then we realized that was not sustainable for us over time, and then we pivoted to
Mm.
focusing on 20 to 25-year-olds and creating a subscription model, which we have right now, called Power Pass, where users can come in and really learn how to monetize their potential. So if I look at my journey, it's been like learning,
Yeah.
pivoting. I think that's what it is to be a part of a startup and run a startup.
Yeah. I think you have sort of handled or entered into three of the most difficult sort of areas. One, content, running a content business, I mean, or starting with a content business or a media business is very, very difficult, especially like right now. Second, entering into the freelance market is, especially in India, which is so unorganized, right? I mean, it's
People didn't know what freelancing is. So
exactly. And then there are problems on both sides of the freelancing world, like the clients as well, and freelancers probably don't have that, wireframe and, that quality and all of those kind of issues. And they're now entering into a subscription model, which also, again, is not an easy sort of thing to run, right? I mean, if you have like a monthly, let's say, master classes and everything, it's really, really difficult to program for one entire year. Tell me
tell
about it. How do you
you.
how do you manage that as of now? The subscription.
How do I manage a subscription is, honestly, we're figuring it out, right? Subscription as a model in India is still sort of being dabbled with, apart from OTT platforms like Netflix, Hotstar. It's a novel concept, right? So also starting off with multiple variations of subscription, right? Another issue or another problem that we are trying to overcome is a lot of our audience are youngsters. So credit cards or recurring payments is not a thing. So you can't just take their credit card number on file and be like, okay, month on month you'll be charged, because they don't
Yeah,
have a credit card, right? So
yeah,
that's why multiple variations of it. Then you only pay for 1 month, then you have to sort of send them an email saying, resubscribe or like continue if
yeah,
you want to. Then maybe only attend, packaging it differently, right? Like only attend one event or one masterclass or one boot camp, or then pay for the year, right? And also then I think in India they want to see value before they buy it, right? That's
yeah,
a learn. Like
yeah,
they want to have a taster
yeah,
before they order the full main course, for
yeah.
example. So I think it's just been trial and error. We're still testing, but it's been. I think it looks promising. So let's see.
Yeah, yeah. And have you had prior, let's say, education or experience of being an entrepreneur, or you just started directly?
I don't think you can have prior experience of being an entrepreneur until you become an entrepreneur. So I've grown up in a house in a family of entrepreneurs. My father is an entrepreneur. So, earlier I would question myself that, how will I learn? How will I do this? And someone wise once told me, actually, he was a professor, and he told me every dinner conversation you've had has been a training ground for this. Right? Unknowingly, knowingly, whatever it is, every holiday I've gone on as a family, if you're an entrepreneur, you eat, breathe, sleep what you do,
Yeah,
right? So every conversation on those holidays has been, this is happening at work, these are the people issues. So I've, as a 7-year old, as a 10-year old, as a 15-year old, as a 20-year old, I've been, I've heard those conversations. But obviously, experiencing them head on and hands on is a very different experience.
yeah,
I don't think I could have been trained for this at all, because, like just realizing a lot of things as an entrepreneur is everything is your fault. Whether you're
yeah,
right, whether you're wrong, it's you, right?
yeah,
Especially being a sole founder, it has been hard. It's not easy at all, but it's also very rewarding, right?
yeah,
So when something goes right, it's rewarding. When something goes wrong, it's also a bit of it pulls you down a bit. But I think both ways, like it's been
yeah.
a very rewarding journey.
Yeah, and I think being that sole on like founder and handling all of these things yourself is also uh, very like a challenging journey also. But tell me about your team. So I'm very sure when your vision is changing for the organization, right? From starting, let's say, from more content led, then to like a freelance led, and then now a subscription, led organization. So how was the team reacting to it, or how was the team building happening when the vision is also constantly changing?
It's not easy. So I think one thing that you have to sort of set in mind is to be agile, right? You have to go where the need is of the market. You have to go where you are. Obviously, you can't keep pivoting. That's not smart either. But you have to pivot when you see that it's wise to, right? So you have to get a buy-in. At least that's the way I do it. Like show numbers, show data. People who are working with you. Your team has to buy into what you're doing. Otherwise, they will not be motivated to do it. So I think one thing
Yeah,
that really works is showing them data that this is what is happening. This is what our
yeah,
target group is looking like, and this is what their needs are. These are the events, or these are the boot camps, these are the master classes that have done well. These are the kind of questions we've gotten. Therefore, let's try this, right? So it has to sort of
mm,
be like, that's one approach that sometimes
yeah,
works. Another approach is that we're doing this, right? Like,
yeah,
all hands on deck. Trust me, and let's do it, right?
yeah,
So it depends on the situation, and then you choose the approach. That's what I do.
yeah. And coming more to the content conversations now, I'm very sure for running a subscription based organization in that model, it's very important how you use content to talk about it to your audience, right? Let's say when you're hosting a masterclass, something as simple as how do you announce about that masterclass, how you constantly keep talking about the various pricing models for the subscription, monthly, yearly, or just attend one pass, and all of those things. It's very very important because that's literally going to drive new members and, let's say, new customers to that subscription model. So how do you plan your content, and how do you look at it when you want to drive
So we
more
bucket our
members?
content, right? So we bucket our content into like things that we've seen that has worked earlier. Based off on that, we do that. We use our community sort of to test things out, and then the subscription model to sort of move the test versions of it to the paid product or to the paid subscription. Once we know that there is people are liking that, we also speak to the user. So I think one thing to realize when you're running a content company or any company is to understand what the sentiment is, right? What the users are liking, what the users are not liking, right? So post events sort of getting feedback forms done, seeing, asking them what are they looking for in the future, making sure that we do those kind of programs, seeing if the format is also working for them, right? A lot of times our users don't even know what they want. So like feedback forms sometimes don't work, but a phone conversation does. Right.
Yeah,
So that is something we're constantly doing. Like our touch point and our communication channels, the users have to be open, right?
yeah,
To sort of understand what's working, what's not working as well.
yeah. And one more thing, so your audience has always been women, right? I mean, the content, when you started it as a content-led company, then to freelance, and now to subscription also. So it has always been, so the audience has always been, let's say, targeting towards females. Tell me one advantage, or let's say, and also a disadvantage of, like, having the 50% of, let's say, the population, or this itself. Like, what's one advantage, and what's, let's say, a disadvantage of having that audience?
I mean, the like I wouldn't say it's I think we're very all of us are working on this are very passionate, right? Because we want to help every woman out there create a career that she loves, right? So I think that passion, because of that focus, comes in a lot, right? We all are
Hmm.
working towards that same mission. um
Hmm.
One disadvantage is, like you said, you're targeting 50%. So as a business, it's like, okay, like maybe someone else who's doing subscription model, their user base is much larger, right?
Hmm.
Ours is halved before we even start.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it that also gives us focus. That also gives us
Hmm.
we also do a lot of things which we know that our users need, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's the way you look at it.
Got
Yeah.
it. And now you're also targeting for, let's say, just 20 to 25, or 18 to 25, that age group. So now, has it like so will you call this like a super niche, or how do you look at it when you have also age
I
wise categorized it?
20 to 30 is what I say normally, but I think it gives us focus, right? And that's something I realized when I started out with just content where I was going from pregnancy to maternity to everything, right,
Hmm.
under the sun, to being like, okay, now I'm focusing on beginners, right?
Got it.
I'm
Hmm.
focusing on that 20 to 30-year old who's figuring it out.
Hmm.
And what all do I need to help them
Hmm.
figure it out?
Hmm.
it gives me focus. It gives the team focus. We know what content to create, right from Instagram to our blogs, to the community, to our subscription. So
Hmm.
it's more seamless, right? Because when you have focus, you can actually achieve it better than being everywhere, nowhere.
Yeah.
That I think, I mean, that has been a learning for me. And so, I mean, having said that, it's also you start with the focus and then you expand, right? Tomorrow,
Yeah.
the way we've been pivoting also, like I have no idea. Maybe I might go into 30 and 40 tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? But now is my focus is 20 to 30
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the next
Got it.
6 to 7.
Tell us some highlights, or some of the recent master classes or sessions that you have done for this subscribed community. Any sessions, or talk about any resources or content that the community has really liked. So just walk us through a bit of
So I
examples
think
from it.
some stories that have hit home have been like people coming and telling us that, I started a marketing agency after joining Cool Kanya and I was
Wow.
unemployed. Right. So those are really powerful things. And you're like, okay, I'm making a difference, on those hard days, like you were saying. Those are the stories that really are the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
And also someone saying that, I feel more confident. Today I have a community to reach out to. Today, I get feedback on my writing, which I didn't get earlier. So I know what to work on, right? It's a safe
Yeah.
space where you get feedback. There's no judgment,
Yeah.
right? So I think a lot of those kind of stories are like, okay, this is needed, this is required,
Yeah.
right? Um, so yeah, I think those are some highlights.
And how do you, let's say, design this community? Like, I'm not talking about doing the community building. When the idea is in your head as to, okay, I want to have like a focused group of people, and this is how they'll subscribe to, and this is what they're going to learn. What really goes on into your head about planning as to, this is how the sessions will be? Do you make sure that some of it is upskilling, some of it is, let's say, just for entertainment purpose,
I think
something
it's a
is.
mix, Pavan. But if it's subscription and people have like subscribe for utility, you provide utility, right? But the entertainment, the meeting can are just surpluses. That those are just good to have. The must have in the core, this the the core is essentially the utility and the valuable content that you're giving.
Got it. I find you very easygoing about so many changes that has been in your entire journey, and which is a good thing. I mean, it's really confident actually that it's no matter if the vision and it has changed in the course of like last few years, but you're still confident about what lies into the future and what you're doing currently. Tell us, how do you build that confidence and that self belief, or just having that trust and faith in yourself that no matter what, I will change some things into my journey, but let me just try it out. How do you give yourself that confidence?
So I think for me, Pavan, I started as a founder when I was 25, 26 years old. Okay. And I didn't know much, like having 1 or 2 years of experience before that. Right. So it was very new. And then suddenly leading a team, it's honestly, confidence is something I've had massive imposter syndrome and I still do, right? Like being at the helm of all these changes, like I said, if you're a founder, everything is on you, the good things and the bad things, right?
Yeah.
Especially the bad. I think for me, I wouldn't say, I think confidence is like a muscle. It is developed every time you exercise it, every time you go and you challenge yourself. So for instance, I was petrified on being in front of video earlier,
Hmm.
but I signed up to doing a video every Friday on LinkedIn. Okay. And I got some like negative comments for it and some positive comments for it, whatever. And I was just like, you know what? I am scared of doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let's see what happens. And honestly, it just made me more confident. Like the first time, it took me like 15 takes to get the first video right. The second time, it took me 10. The third time, it took me 5. And now I just do it. I'm like, whatever it is, it is. So I think the way I see it is confidence is a muscle. You develop it every time you go in the arena per se, and you test it out. Like you have to keep challenging yourself, and you will become more confident. You'll have a lot of failures. You'll fall. I keep falling every day, and I keep questioning myself. I feel anyway, but it's a muscle. You challenge yourself, you develop it.
Got it. I'm going to move to asking you my two last questions, and both of them are like, let's say, poles apart. Um, One is, tell us some stories from the community, like how you were talking about somebody after attending and subscribing to the community, they have started their own marketing agency, or they feel now more confident. Tell us a few more stories from the community, or in general, what feedback people have given you about how their experience has been with Cool Kanya.
I think we've got a lot of people who've also been able to mentor other people, which has been
Hmm.
empowering and motivating for them because
Hmm.
of using the knowledge they've had. So a lot of people who've been like, I've had these many years of experience, but I helped so and so, and that was so much more rewarding for me, right?
Hmm.
Also stories where people have taken a break because they were having mental health issues, right? Like we've
Hmm.
had last year we did something like a sharing circle every month where women just came and spoke about what's going on. COVID was stressful, is
Hmm.
stressful for a lot of people. A lot of change has happened, right? And they've not had no space to go and talk about things, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not work or life, it's work and life, right? Life
Yeah.
plays into work and work plays into life. And just sort of experiencing those stories where people just came in and spoke about no all guards down about what's going on at home, what's coming up for them, and feeling
Hmm.
lighter, right? Just being like, thank you for this listening circle. I feel a lot lighter than I have in many days, in many months,
Hmm.
right? I feel like I can focus now finally. So I feel like just using that community as a safe space to target not only things with striking completely at work but even adjacent to work,
Yeah.
so, has been, I think, very rewarding for us as well.
Yeah, and I think these stories sort of sometimes give you confidence and just make your day that okay, we probably the work that we are doing is really worthwhile for a lot of people. So I think that's really great. Last question, and this is more of related. Do you know the freelance side? You have been, let's say even if it's for just few months or few years, that you were building something for the freelance community in India. What has your experience been of that? Like, what do you see? What's like the current situation or scenario, or the whole ecosystem is of freelancing currently in India? What do you think about? What's your opinion on that?
For the ecosystem of, I think, like freelancing is not known a lot, right? So the lines between being a small time part-time entrepreneur, freelancing, consulting is all very blurred, right? That was one learning. The second learning is the word freelance has a negative connotation to it. So a lot of people look at freelance as free ka kaam, right? The word free is there in it. So we used to use the word called Pavalancer, instead of
Hmm.
freelancer. So that was another thing. A third thing is, I think, as if you like, for us as a freelance model, to make sure both sides of the party deliver work on time, those kind of challenges you really have to sort out when you get into the freelance marketplace. Um, you know, um, so I mean, I think those are a couple of learnings that we've had from the
Yeah,
freelance
and I
space.
think the problem is just not on one side; it's on both the sides. So for the whole ecosystem to really flourish and develop and come to like US standards, both the sides have to put in some
I think
effort.
that's the freelancer as well as the user, because sometimes it used to be like the user didn't give enough information, or
Yeah,
sometimes it would be like the freelancer suddenly had something that came up and couldn't deliver the work, right? So
yeah,
on both sides, I think that was something we had challenges with.
yeah,
And having said that, we might come back with it in the future,
yeah.
but just when we launched it at that time, we weren't ready for it.
Yeah, yeah. Just to not end this on a very serious note and end this on a lighter note, tell us about some, let's say, Instagram pages or content creators that you really enjoy consuming content of. It could be brands, individual creators, YouTubers, anybody.
I think I don't know how relevant this is, but I love Kusha Kapila. She's one of my favorites. Okay, Kusha Kapila, Malika Dua. Apart from that, pages I love to consume content is like El West. Then also Career Contessa are other platforms similar in America. I love a lot of like sort of spiritual content as well. Like, uh, I mean, it's all over the place, but I love, like, I think Elvest is one for sure, and also a lot of fitness pages like Sheena. I don't know her exact name, but she's a fitness blogger. Then like I love the recipes she posts. So it's all over the place. But these are a couple of Instagram pages that I like to follow.
That's quite diverse. Like your Instagram feed, how does it look like usually? There's fitness,
There's
spirituality,
fitness
cook.
for sure. There's something like mental health, like yoga and Ayurveda. Oh my god, I love Nithi Pandya. She's an Ayurveda specialist. She's bomb. Like I love how Instagram has connected us all together. Like she's in America, but she's Indian. She's from Bombay and she moved to America, and I connected with her as well personally. But she's someone who talks about Ayurveda and the modern age, and I think it's so applicable even for me. So I went and actually studied Ayurveda with her after that,
Wow.
and and so a lot of like fitness, mental health, and a lot of obviously career stuff that I follow.
Wow. And just out of curiosity again, and for sure this is going to be my last question. Tell me, how do you manage time, and what also do you do in your free time? Like apart from running the organization, what do you
So,
usually
Pawan,
do in
if
your
you
free time?
asked me this question a year ago, I would say the lines are blurred. Like lines are like fixed. Like I come home and work is work and office is office. Having said that, this past year or more than a year, the lines have been very much blurred. I wish I could be less honest than that. It is that work has seeped into my personal life. But I love what I do, right? So it keeps me going. Like last night, like 11:30, I was sitting with my parents and I was like, like this is my goal till December. What do you think I should do? How do I reach it? So like, family time was basically discussing work. So it is blurred, but it's also because I am passionate about it. So it doesn't feel draining at all. But having said that, actually, I'm reading this book called Deep Work. I just started it, if you can see. And it talks about like, disengaging with work and how that actually helps you focus more.
Hmm.
It's a really good book for everyone who are looking for like, peace in this chaotic world. And it talks about how you should manage your time, how boredom is actually good. So, setting blocks and sort of, so I'm just reading this. I'm in process of reading it. So I love reading also.
Wow,
So
I definitely need to read that book because
yeah, you should
my
read it. It's actually really good. It talks about rules for focused success in a distracted world. So,
wow.
even talking about like when to use your phone, when not to use your phone, and why breaks are good. Like at the end of the day, you should cut off, which I
Yeah,
did.
yeah. And for a long time, I have been trying to have like a proper work-life balance, but again, the lines have been blurred for me.
Myth, I think, work. I don't like, I mean, like, I actually was on a conference once and I said this and I got a lot of negative flack for it. But, like, I think for me personally, the lines are blurred. And I think the perception, I like looking at it in a good way. Right. So I think even when I am just relaxing and I get an idea for work. So, for example, the other day I was watching The Bold Type on Netflix, like a lot of other
Hmm.
people are. And then I was like, oh my God, this scene is can be totally used for our Instagram content.
Hmm.
Right. And I was not working, I was
Yeah,
relaxing. Like it happened because
yeah,
that's what I do. That's who I am. And it's
yeah.
okay. It's great. Like you love what you do. And that's how I started looking at it. Right. Obviously, when it gets too much, you need to find a break. You need to take
Yeah.
a break. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I have been probably like that for last 5 years, and I should definitely read that book so that maybe I also be on the other side, try to have like deep works, focused work hours, and things like that. So I'm definitely going to read that. But thank you so much, Manchika, for doing this conversation. I think we started right from your journey and covered it to so many different points. Probably anytime if just come onto our office and we'll probably host you at our office in Mumbai. But this has been really really cool. Thank you so much, Vanchika. Thank you. Bye bye. If you enjoyed listening to this conversation, please, I'm going to request you all once again to just share this on your Insta story or tweet about it, or just go ahead and give us a like on YouTube or subscribe or follow us on any of these podcast apps. It just gives us that little bit of encouragement that we should keep doing these conversations. And if you have any recommendations for us as to which guest we should invite, or if there are any specific topics that you want us to cover, please feel free to just share that with us and we'll be happy to do those conversations. My name is Pawan Rochwani. I'm the host of this show, and if you have any other questions or appreciations for us, just go ahead, DM us. And if you want to know more about our newsletter or any of the other cool things that Pepper is doing, it's mentioned in the description of this episode. Just go ahead and click on that. But till the time we see you next week, stay safe, stay indoors, and take care.